The Ben 10 franchise has had 5 shows over its decade and a half on the air so far, a couple of movies, crossovers, awards, and over $4.5 billion in merchandise sales alone. But out of the 230 episodes from the first 4 shows, there were a lot of awesome moments that'll go down in history for action cartoons. That's why today I'm here to count down the top 10 best moments from Ben 10 Classic to Omniverse. Before I start, be sure to subscribe because I've made a lot of other Ben 10 videos, which I'll link in the description and card above. Let's begin.
You're the alien from my visions.
Kicking off our list, let's start with a classic. In this scene from the episode Secrets from the original series, Ben is transformed as Heat Blast while meeting Vilgax in his full mighty form for the first time in the show. Over the last few episodes, Vilgax had sent multiple messages and bounty hunters out to kill Ben and get the Omnitrix, and in this clip, he finally comes to Earth to fight Ben himself. After Heat Blast fries Vilgax's drones, Vilgax traps him in this weird plasma net thing, and rolls down in his big spiked ball and is finally revealed in his physical form. After they have a short conversation and Heat Blast escapes the net, Vilgax throws Ben through like 100 buildings until Ben goes full epic and melts the road pavement, making Vilgax get stuck. Overall, this scene was building up after a season of hyping up this awesome villain, who I still think is one of the best villains of all time.
It's burning the floor, and that's what your armor's made of. Whoa!
Coming in at number 9 from the Ultimate Alien episode Perplexahedron. This whole episode is honestly really iconic and creative, but to pick just one moment to put on this list, I'd have to pick the scene with Ben and Kevin as the room fills up with acid. After an episode of the gang traveling through essentially a maze with the objective of a piece of the map of infinity, they find out that the doors that require killing guards or traps often lead to the middle of the Perplexahedron, which is where they want to go. But after Gwen gets separated from the others, Ben and Kevin are left together to try and keep going. But this scene in particular, while being a bit shorter in length, is just a personal favorite. Kevin has absorbed the material of the walls, which are all burning away with the acid filling the room. This adds stakes to the scene as Ben turns into Spider Monkey and swings him and Kevin out of there. This may not be technically best scene in the episode, but I just love Kevin and Ben's interactions, which is why I picked this scene over the others. Going back to a classic, we take a look at the first episode of Ben 10 ever, and then there were 10. Probably the most well-known and most memorable moment from the Ben 10 franchise has to be the scene where Ben gets the Omnitrix for the first time. It, of course, takes place in the forest after Ben takes a walk away from Grandpa Max and Gwen and sees the Omnitrix fall from space. Curious to see, he goes closer to it and it latches onto his wrist. That is, right before he sets the forest on fire on accident with Heat Blast, ending this amazing scene. I think no matter how passionate you are about Ben 10 or how much you've seen it, you've definitely seen this scene at one point or another.
I don't... Oh, for the love of... Look at your wrist! An Omnitrix?
This one's a personal favorite of mine, being the ending scene in the last episode of Ultimate Alien, Ultimate Enemy Part 2. While Ultimate Enemy wasn't the best episode of the show by any means, having some of the worst fight scenes compared to the other episodes, the ending is very heartwarming in a lot of ways. It ends with Azimuth giving Ben the Omnimatrix, which is the Omnitrix Ben uses in Omniverse, after a well-deserved victory for Ben, with some great character development towards the end of the episode. Other than that, it ends with Ben smiling as the camera zooms into his face, and the best part, in my opinion, is a nod to the recently deceased show creator Dwayne McDuffie at the time. This was the reason I think this ending is truly awesome in my opinion, and while it might not be too big of a deal to shout out the recently deceased creator, I think it shows great sympathy from the people who worked on the show.
Water-stopping motion carry.
The most powerful Ben 10 alien is Alien X, no question about it. If you don't know, Alien X can do anything he wants, literally anything, as long as Serena and Bellicus agree with Ben's wishes together. As you see in the show, this can cause some really interesting plot points. The number 6 spot on this list goes to the moment from the Alien Force episode X equals Ben plus 2. Great title, by the way. This is when Ben first unlocks Alien X and uses his powers for the first time. The whole episode's great, I recommend it for sure, but this moment in particular is definitely my favorite part of the episode. It starts with a breakage in a dam, as Ben tries Alien X out for the first time and turns back time to close the dam and stop the water. The honestly seizure-inducing editing isn't my favorite per se, and this certainly isn't Alien X's best usage in the show, but the payoff was definitely awesome. Coming in at number 5 is another scene from Alien Force, the ending to The Vengeance of Vilgax. It was extremely entertaining over its double episode runtime. The plot is basically Ben and Kevin try to hack the Omnitrix to be ready to fight Vilgax after he's killed some of the strongest people in the universe. The hacking goes awry, a couple of Ben's aliens escape from the Omnitrix, and Kevin is also turned into a monster. They have to hunt down the aliens and collect them all, which was interesting, and try to get to Vilgax to beat him as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Ben is now really cocky and confident, which brings us to this amazing scene, the Vilgax fight scene. After Ben basically gets killed by Vilgax, Kevin and Gwen manage to collect Waybig just in time for Ben to absorb him, but instead of turning into him, the Omnitrix turns Ben into Chroma Stone, who gets shattered by Vilgax's sword. This is obviously very emotional the first time you watch it, and you see the reactions of all the other characters, until the Omnitrix lifts up and turns into Diamond Head. What follows is basically a minute of Ben kicking Vilgax's butt. It ends with Vilgax getting a black eye.
We're not losers. Beating ourselves up is just doing a favor for malware and everyone else we ever go up against. So from now on, let's save the beatdowns for the bad guys. Deal?
Our first Omniverse spot on this list goes to when Ben has a self-reflection moment with his child self and unlocks feedback once again, thus helping him defeat malware. From the episode Showdown Part 2, we see 16-year-old Ben go back to the moment where Azimuth reminded 10-year-old him to not be sad about Feedback's death, since malware had killed Feedback from the Omnitrix a few days prior to this encounter. 16-year-old Ben somehow interacts with his younger self in a beautiful scene where he forgives himself and unlocks Feedback again. This scene, coupled with the beautiful background music, which you can also hear in the background right now, as well as the nice color palette and creative atmosphere, makes it a beautiful scene that will make it go down as the number 4 best moment in Ben 10.
That's how you want to play it? Fine. Ugh!
Just let me try and explain. Don't make me hurt you, okay?
My favorite episode of Ultimate Alien may be Perplexahedron, but the former is only as good as the latter, I think. The Forge of Creation is an amazing episode. After the gang has failed to stop Agregor from getting the Map of Infinity, they have to chase him down and stop him from absorbing a baby Alien X from the Forge of Creation, the place where Alien X's are born. This scene is towards the beginning, where the gang crash their ship into a part of outer space, and find 10-year-old Ben in the time vortex thing. I know people in the comments are going to correct me on every little thing I say, so I'll try to be as general as possible. Anyway, I don't know why, but 16-year-old and 10-year-old Ben conversing is somehow the most hilarious thing ever. They end up bringing young Ben with them to help them out, and from absolute writing genius, young Ben manages to have some character development until the end of the episode. That's why this show is so awesome.
Azimuth, help me! Please! Just so I can help them.
One of my favorite scenes, and partially why I made this video, is a very underrated and beautiful scene in the series finale of Alien Force Final Battle Part 2. In this scene, Ben has lost. After a season of his character being overly confident and arrogant, it's finally been proven to him that he can't win everything. Here, he had to hand the Omnitrix to Vilgax to free his hostage friends, resulting in the gang driving away and Ben giving up. After Ben walks alone in the pouring rain, definitely a metaphor for his current situation, he calls desperately for Azimuth's help, and of course, Azimuth is right there waiting for him. The real meat of the scene is the conversation between Azimuth and Ben, as Azimuth explains again that the Omnitrix was intended for Grandpa Max, but Ben's creativity and ingenuity proved that he was worthy of having the Omnitrix. Keep in mind this scene is also the first time music is featured for a few minutes, thus bringing the emotion back into it. Azimuth gives Ben some subtle advice, and the scene ends with an amazing line.
Lovely weather on this world.
And number 1 is hands down the birth of the universe scene from the series finale of Omniverse, A New Dawn. After a series worth of character development and some breathtaking scenes and episodes, the series finale of Omniverse was admittedly pretty awesome, but the climax of it is 100% the best scene throughout. After Maltruant has activated his evil in Niall and the Contamilla ship at the beginning of time, Ben jumps into the void where it falls and is believed to die, until he holds the Big Bang in his hands, and using the power of all his transformations, he holds it and scatters Maltruant across the universe. Right after, Ben and Rook watch this beautiful scene of the birth of the true universe. It's an absolutely brilliant climax to this beautiful episode. And that's the top 10 best moments from Ben 10. I hope you enjoyed, and please consider subscribing, as well as joining my Discord and following me and my Wrath Parody Twitter account with the links below. Also, check out some of my other Ben 10 videos, including a video of me ranking the 5 Ben 10 shows and many more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!